Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together. And it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse, where we help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. I am Amy Mosser, and this is my sister Molly Kroeker, and we are going to visit about one of our favorite universal laws, the law of vibration.
Yeah, you know what? I think being a science nerd, I definitely loved knowing these laws. And Amy and I will both tell you when The Secret came out, I know our kids were little because we had a DVD, number one, that should give you an idea. And it came in a little jacket, or whatever, the case. So I would open it up and the kids would watch it. And I remember over and over, we would watch it multiple times, and it was huge, right? Because it was on Oprah, big Oprah fans here. And so we were like, this is so cool. You can attract. And I remember just at that time, we were definitely living paycheck to paycheck. I believe we had put Disney World. We had gone to Disney World for our son's kindergarten spring break. So we set the bar really high and blew it all on Disney World. And no turning back from there. I mean, what are you going to do when they're in high school? Go to Europe? I mean, if you're going to Disney World when they're 5, but here's the thing, the Kroekers charged it, and I was making the minimum payments. Let's be clear about that. So working full-time as a physical therapist and making minimum payments and, beautiful house, beautiful cars, all the things. But I remember seeing The Secret and going, okay, cool. I'm going to pray and I'm going to wish and I'm going to create like more things to me, right? The law of attraction. But what The Secret failed to leave out, or what it left out, was the most important law, universal law. And you guys, these are under God, if you want to picture God, because we believe in God. And so under God is like universal laws, because if you've studied physics, if you're in biology, if you're in chemistry, like there are laws like the law of gravity. When you jump off a building, you're going to crash down. You're not going to float up. I mean, there's just some things that are true. And when you believe in God, they're true because they are biology, they are chemistry, they are physics laws. And so the law of vibration, unfortunately, is the one that really wasn't covered in The Secret, because if you're like Amy or I, we watched that and like millions of people were like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and bring it in and attract it and create my vision board, which I did, right? I created a vision board and have things happen on your vision board, Amy, without knowing this law.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We've made new vision boards every single year because so many things we had checked off the box, right? Like this happened. We went on this trip.
Put the trip on there, you put Europe on there, you put all the things that you want, giving back, donating to causes, all that stuff. So those things were happening for us. And I remember I even had 2 running friends who were divorced, and I talked about like, make space for your spouse, which makes sense. I'm like, if you have a garage and you're parking right in the middle and you're like, I really want a spouse. I'm like, you're not even leaving space for them. So just little things like that, I would help them create. And they both say to this day, like, Molly, thank you for helping me attract my spouse. But it's so much more than that. Or like, I'm like, okay, is your closet full of your clothes, or have you made space for your partner? And, if your clothes are taking up all of it, really, you want to attract a partner, but you're not even thinking from the idea that you have one. And so that was definitely The Secret, right? Or a bill comes in and you imagine it like you open it up and you're so grateful. So doing those kinds of things was definitely great, but the law of vibration takes it the next step. And so we kind of grew up thinking, well, thoughts are things. And we even, going through Napoleon Hill Institute, you know, the original text has the word vibration in there 300 times, but just the, what would you call it? I don't know, unabridged or whatever. The one that's been corrected, whatever that is
Just
in
the
there.
publication, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Like, I can't think of the word. Has been like 10 times, less than 10 times. So way back when Think and Grow Rich was published, it was like, you can't use the word vibration. That sounds too heebie-jeebie, but for real, speaking from a science point, is everything vibrates, right? A rock is very dense and it vibrates, and water or something that is liquid vibrates. Now, what vibrates faster? Water. Water vibrates way faster, kind of like your thoughts. They are very, 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 very quick. And so if you just believe like thoughts or things, you're like, okay, I'm going to think myself. And something that people always say about Amy and I is like, you girls always, you guys, it's no wonder you do well. You're always so positive. You're always so happy. And that is true. I mean, it really is true. We are full of joy. We
Yeah,
love,
we,
yeah. I
we
mean,
laugh.
laugh, we cackle, we have so much fun with our adult kids, with our spouses, with our parents, with our family. I mean, with our siblings, like all the things. We really do live a joyful life. But is it true if thoughts are things, can you just attract what you want? Right? And the thing is, no, you can't, because there is a little bit more that you have to understand that comes when you start thinking about, I really, really, really want to create this. And so I always say we're co-creators with God. And so with God, anything is possible, right? The kingdom of God is within you. So it's within all of us. And so Amy and I are not any more special because of that. But when you understand this law, it's really important, because if thoughts are things, then all you could do is wish it and it would come true. And so to a certain point, that is true. But what we want to talk about is, it's not just what you portray, vibration, but it's what you exude. And if you're like, I don't know what that word means, it's what you're being, it's the feeling from the end result. And so I'm going to hopefully try to explain this, Amy, and you can kind of add in. But I love thinking about this in a way of, you have, I mean, here's the bottom line is, it's what you exude. So it's the feeling of the being. So it's who you're being. That comes from within. That comes from within. And I feel like, Amy, you do a better job, because I've always been more in the, I mean, we both have hustled and grinded our way to the top, but then we found out that it's just not fulfilling and it's really not fun. Am I super grateful? And is Amy grateful that we both went through it? Yes, we are. Do I want to do it again? Heck no.
Yes, we both have. We've both lived in that. I'm going to say that more masculine, right? The hustle, the grind. And that's the outer way, the mechanical way. And what we have found, and where I have really found peace, as particularly as I've gone through the challenges in life, is I have had to really get more into my feminine and into that, which is the inner, right? The inner, just the being, the being. And for me, it was peace and it was surrender. And when you're being and when you are exuding that peace and that joy and that calm, your vibration, what people feel when they are around you, what anything feels what they're around you, what you're putting out is beautifully attracting other peaceful, calm, abundant, opulent, joyful things, experiences, people. And that is, like you said, Molly, that is really this vibration thing. Is I learned it just probably a little bit sooner than you, just because of I've had to experience more challenges and I have had to live in that surrender and a little bit more as I like literally been on my knees and I've had to look inward because that was all I had is God and myself and listening to God to help guide me as I made decisions on my own. I didn't have, other people to run it by. So yes, that vibration is what creates such abundance and joy. And, as we say, that penthouse
Yeah,
view.
that penthouse feeling. And so I love this. Amy and I, thank goodness. I mean, not thank goodness, that sounds wrong, but we are not on dating apps. Clearly, we're both married. But, you know, to understand this, I'm going to use dating apps because my friend explained it this way and I really like this. So, never been on one, but I do know of them. So, but when you become a vibrational match, right, means that you calibrate your vibration through the frequency of the thing you want. Therefore, you are a match for it because you're on the same frequency of it. So, you can go on a dating app, but if you are only on there once, and then you pull yourself off 24 hours later, are you going to match with anybody? You don't even have to go on one to know. No, you're not. You're not because you're not on there anymore. So, how could you be a vibrational match for anybody because you're not on there? Or you might be like a few of my friends that they go on and then they go off, and then they go back on and then they go back off. And so, are they ever going to be a vibrational match for somebody because they're not in the same frequency? No, they're not. So,
Gotta stay on and keep swiping, right?
yes, exactly. From what I hear, again, I love that we're the ones that are teaching this, but we're
Well,
like,
I have been single, I have gone through a divorce, and
okay,
I hate to admit it. For
had
a moment,
experience. You've
I
had
know.
experience.
Experience I did. I was the one that went on and off, on and off.
Okay, see, I forgot this. I did forget this.
The truth is coming out.
It's all good. So at least we do have somebody with a small amount of experience.
Of swiping.
You have to be on the same frequency, right? Like that's how you match with somebody. And so things that you're wanting, you call into your vibrational match to receive the things you want receiving. That's a huge thing. So when we look at this is, and I love that, again, go back to the thoughts are things, right? Thoughts are things. Yes, thoughts are things, but that's not the only thing you can do. You can't just make a vision board and expect these things to show up. And you hear it all the time, like, oh my gosh, I put this house on this vision board and then I buried my vision board and I moved. And then when I got my house, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the very house there that I attracted. But I love this because when you are in a certain vibration, remember a rock vibrates, liquid vibrates. So thoughts are like liquid. It is fast, fast, fast. But what happens is, I'm going to explain this frequency part in popcorn because this makes sense. If you don't like popcorn, this won't make sense. But popcorn reaches a certain vibrational standpoint. At some point, it is going to pop, right? Like the microwave penetrates the kernel to make it pop finally. But if you mess up that frequency and you put it on for 10 seconds and you take it out for 10 seconds and you put it in and you put it on. For me, I don't even do the microwave. So I'm doing that thing, the whirly twirly thing.
The Jiffy, oh no, the whirly twirly. Okay.
I don't even know, but it's the most magic $20 thing I've ever bought in my life. It's on the stovetop. But if you stop turning the little cranker, nothing happens. It's like you got to circulate it to create that heat in there, because if I turn the heat on the stove and then I turned it off for 10 seconds and I turned it on for 10, it will never pop. You could do that all day long. It's never going to pop on the stove ever. It's not calibrating to the frequency you need it until it gets a certain level, right? I don't know what that level is in degrees, but whatever it is, it's like, oh, now I can finally pop. And then what happens? It all starts to pop, 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 pop. So, and we don't want to just calibrate the frequency once. We want you to stay there because, of course, that wouldn't be any fun either. And so, one thing I want people to know is just because, and this is a good question to ask Amy, if you are happy, can you be in a low vibration?
You can be, yes, there is. You can be happy and then dip down to sad and not still be on that high vibe. You can come right back up. That is when you change the thought, right? So you can be in that gap. You can experience happy and sadness at the same time and not dip all the way down to the basement.
Right. You could be happy and be in a low vibration. I mean, sadly, that's what happens when people take their life, right?
Yes.
She was so happy. And then, boom, you're gone. And you could also be really sad, but be in a high vibration, like Amy said. So just know that it's the energy exuded from within that dictates the vibration from within, right? Which me being so mechanical and being so strategic and analytic, like, show me what that looks like. Like, I want to know what it looks like to exude energy from within. But it's the being, it's who you're being. And so the goal is to feel, right, that being. It's the feeling. And so what I'm going to do is try my very best to describe this. And I might just like,
while you're getting ready to do that, I was just thinking of an example of, we were just in New York City at a beautiful mastermind called Prosperity Summit. I loved as we were out, and Molly and I always have noticed this, but we had our friend Linda with us. As we were out in restaurants and in the hotels, and even as we were meeting our friends that we knew from online, but in person, people were drawn to us. And it is because we vibrate in, we say we vibrate in the penthouse. We walk in confident, full of gratitude. We were, all three of us, thrilled to be experiencing this. We were like, thank you, God, everywhere we went, visiting with people, complimenting the doorman, saying thank you to everybody we met, asking questions to the Uber driver. Like, we are vibrating on that level. And so when we walk into rooms, people are naturally drawn to someone who is joyful, is abundant, is, you can feel somebody who is maybe experiencing heaviness or somebody who's experiencing extreme joy. So that was just an example. And it was so fun to see this weekend as I have Molly get her pen and paper out, because she's going to do some fabulous artwork for you.
And speaking of Penthouse, think of frequencies as the floor, F and F. Think of frequencies as the floor, right? The frequency you're in will determine the vibration that you are in. And so I want people to know, if you're looking at like low vibration, it doesn't mean you're unhappy. You could be living at a lower vibration and you have the car that you love, you have the house you love, you're getting invited to the events you want to get invited to. Like, don't think of low vibration as bad and high vibration as good. But when we talk about a goal, and this is where we've helped so many people realize that they're like, why am I not getting my goal? Like, I'm positive. And remember, that's not the only thing you can be. But again, it's what you're exuding from who you're being. And so if you think of, I could just draw it right here, but if you're listening to this, I hope this makes sense because it's really key. But let's say that you are, I feel like I need a darker marker.
Pulling out the Sharpies, getting the Sharpies
Pulling out the Sharpie. And so, if you're living here on this frequency, again, like I said, like, you could be happy there. You could be happy and be in a low vibration. That is fine. In a low frequency. Frequency is the floor. Think of these lines on the paper as the floors, right? And so here's your goal up here. Like, here's my goal. That's where I want to be. If I want to get there, how am I going to get there? If I have this goal that I really want, it's not by just thinking happy thoughts. That's not going to be the only way that I'm going to get up there. How am I going to get up there? And so again, it's what vibration, what frequency are you on? What floor are you on? When you're down here, again, your Amazon packages might get stolen because you're not on the, you're kind of in the basement. We always say we don't want to be around basement people. Again, not good or bad. It just is. But if you want to be up here, that involves a different vibration. And so what we're going to do is, if you want to go up here, right, it's going to take a whole lot of desire, right? That is like, what do you really want? And I don't mean like, well, right now I want dinner because it's 6 o'clock. I mean, who do you really want to be is even a better question versus what do you really want? So what are the desires of your heart, right? Because God will give you the desires of your heart. So what do you desire and what are you grateful for? So that creates that desire, and gratitude creates this lovely cycle, honestly, of a higher vibration. And so one thing we always do is a miracle morning. And one thing we always do right away after a meditation is we always build on gratitude. And that's because gratitude puts you in that high frequency, in the highest frequency, in the penthouse. Because when you're so grateful, you might not be there, but you're like, man, I am grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the lessons. I am grateful for that sunrise as I drove into town. I mean, all the things, when you're living in gratitude, it's just a higher frequency. But what happens is typically people are like I did for years, is I would be like, here's what I desire. I'm so grateful. Here's what I desire. I'm so grateful. Here's what I desire. I'm so grateful. What am I doing wrong? back here. Now I'm living always in the vibration, literally at night, every night saying, what am I doing wrong? But what am I doing wrong? But what am I doing wrong? But during the day, I was like climbing, doing great, desire, gratitude, putting my goal out, picturing
Inspired action.
Yep, inspired action, doing all those things that we know to do. But the thing is, I was never getting to the goal because I would go right down to that lower vibration, right? Because I wasn't exuding, because the minute bad things happen. And the biggest thing is that when bad things happen, you just have to let it go and not get on. Can negative things happen? Absolutely. But you have to realize it's a negative emotion. And emotion, this is the key with the law of vibration. Emotion is just energy and motion. That's all it is. It's energy and motion. That a rock has, that water has, that thoughts have. So when you have these thoughts that are moving so quickly, high frequency, high vibration, all these ideas of whatever your big goal is, like, I bet I could work from Europe and work remotely, or I bet I could make, change 1,100 people's lives every month. I bet I could, whatever your goal is, but when you have that thought, you have to combine it with emotion, which is just energy and motion. Does that mean that negative things don't happen? No, but then you recognize it and go, okay, you know what? That's just a negative thought. I'm not going to combine negative emotion, negative energy and motion with that thought, because what it's going to do, it's going to knock you right back down to the basement level again. Not good or bad, but you're never going to get here. And so the key to getting what you absolutely desire and have gratitude for is when you take a thought and you marry it with emotion, energy in motion. And I think, this is what I love is this is a great example, is you're like, okay, I want to change 1,000 people's lives. And you're like, oh my gosh, what would that be like? And you start desiring it, and you start picturing it, and you start exuding it like it's from you, it's coming from you, and you're grateful. And then you start to think bigger, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what does it feel like? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like God's work. It feels like magical. It feels easy. It feels effortless. And I have more gratitude. And then I start picturing myself like all these 1,000 lives I'm changing. I'm like traveling with some of them. I'm doing retreats with some of them. I'm speaking on stages with some of them. I mean, I've helped transform these lives, co-creating with God, and it feels magical. And so I keep just walking up this line, if you will, until I hit my goal. But so many of us get halfway up and then we just fall back down. That was me. What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Oh, my mom said, that I wasn't wearing the right thing. Oh, my mom said I shouldn't do that to my hair, whatever it is. It's like, well, what did I do wrong? Well, what did I do wrong? And all of a sudden you're letting that negative emotion, energy and motion with a thought, I really want to change 1,000 people's lives. But are you ever going to get there? No, because it's going to knock you down to the basement every single time. So recognizing that I've got a negative thought, and that's all it is. Just let it go. Now, if you could sing, I would prefer that you would sing the song Let It Go right now. But but since you can't, we're not going to burden all of you with that. But it's so key, though. That is the key. And that was what I was missing for so many years.
Yes, the letting that negative emotion, that temporary negative emotion, you would go up, you would, like you said, climb. I'm vibrating high. I'm taking inspired action. I am being that person. I'm in the feeling. I'm like the lives that I'm serving and changing just excites me. I want to get out of bed in the morning. I can hardly sleep. But something didn't pan out. And all of a sudden, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And you're back down. So you go up, and then back down, and then up. And it's just this constant. And pretty soon you are just comfortable thinking, well, there's clearly something wrong with me. I cannot, just staying in that lower vibration, right? People just learn to.
In that lower vibration, is not, that vibrational standpoint is not about your mood. This has nothing to do with your mood. So understand that. You want to get to the where the goal feels normal before you even have it, because you can be happy. It's not about being happy, because you can be happy on your way to the goal. In fact, that's preferred, right? And we've all heard it's the journey to the goal that really is the best part of achieving that goal. Is it's the journey, because it's who you become. How many times have you heard that? And you're like, what does that mean? I don't understand. So now you understand, oh, I do know what it means. It means I take all those thoughts that are rapidly moving, that are vibrating really high. I put energy in motion, positive energy in motion with those, living as if I'm in, right? Exuding from the inside as if I already have achieved the goal. And then when things come up, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, this is good. You often hear us say that, like, this is good, because here's the thing is you have to know how to navigate that emotion, and you have to know how to handle the resistance when it comes. Like, it's just getting you ready for the goal, right? Like, this is good. This is good. Every time people are like, why do I keep going down to the baseline? And it's because you're letting that negative emotion get coupled with thoughts. That's all it is every time. Every time. Thought energy done does nothing. But thought, energy, and motion, that is the magic. That is the energy that is fast, but emotion with it creates it. And that creates that positive, and you go up. Desire, gratitude, desire, gratitude, desire, gratitude. I hit my goal, right? And what if things happen to you so that you're more prepared to handle yourself? That's really what it's about. It's not good or bad. It's the thinking that makes it so. But what if something, happened to you on the way to this goal? Well, life happens. So it's not a sign that this isn't for you, right? Everything is happening for you and for your new reality. And so this is really what we want you to leave you with is, what if it all worked out? What if it was even better than you thought it could be?
Because most of the time it is, right? You're like, oh my gosh, this is even better than I thought it would be. It's always that way.
So I hope this, Amy and I just hope that we expect that this brought you such great value today, that now you understand how you can use this universal law to attract the things that you really want. When you're co-creating with God, there is nothing you can't accomplish. And so I hope it makes sense on how you're ending back up at that baseline every time. And so we want to help you smash through your goals. We know it's worked. We have lots and lots of clients that it's worked for. And so keep this law
for us personally too, right?
Yes.
Our entire lives.
Exactly. So keep this law in your back pocket. Listen to this again, really understand it. And more than that, apply it. You guys, apply it. So we're so grateful. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and we will keep meeting you in the penthouse.
Thank you for tuning in today for Meet Me in the Penthouse with Sisters Amy and Molly. Please rate and review. We love those 5-star ratings and would love to have you go to our website at sistersnextdoor.com.